What's up, Unlocking Your Inner Strength listeners? How would you like to know about the 3 types of days that you can use to maintain a healthy balance while still striving to be the best in the world at what you do? Well, I have good news for you. I've put together a special report showing you exactly how to do this. It's normally $45, but since you're a loyal listener to the show, you can get it for only $10 at unlockingyourinnerstrength.com/time.
You're listening to The Inner Strength Show. If you want to step into your greatness, you've come to the right place. Here is your host, the human strength expert, Kyle Newell.
What's up, everybody? It's Kyle once again with episode number 87 of the Unlocking Your Inner Strength podcast. You can find out more about what we do and what I do at kylenewell.com or newellstrength.com. Today, I'm going to be covering the first 3 topics we covered at the recent seminar that we had at Newell Strength last Friday about the 5 biggest myths of fitness and nutrition. Next episode, I'll cover the final 2 because they might require a little more time. Let me begin by sharing the story of my 2 professors. When I was at the University of Delaware, I had 2 really well-respected PhD nutrition professors. The one guy I went to, and I can't even remember his name. I could picture exactly what he looks like. But I went to him with all this research I had been doing and experimenting with, because I always believe it's a combination of, just like some of these myths, reality, what actually happens, and then what does the science say? You know, and they kind of got to meet. So I'd gotten pretty heavy in college. I thought I was strong, but I thought I was putting on all this muscle. When I look back at pictures, I was like, man, I was fat. I put on a lot of body fat. So by the time my sophomore, junior year came around, I said, okay, time for me to get serious with this and stay strong, but let's get leaner. So I started experimenting with having a cheat day. And I said, I could get away with this. It just made intuitive sense to me. So I'm doing a cheat day every week. It was usually Saturdays back then. I would usually go out Friday night and party with the guys in my fraternity. And then Saturday I would stay in and watch a movie and eat. And kind of fit, with what I like to do still to this day. Anyhow, I did all this research. I was figuring out things about metabolism. And I reached out to my professor and I said, hey, can I come show you some of the stuff that I've been working on and get your feedback? Hoping that he was going to be able to provide further evidence as to why what I was doing was working. So I bring him all this research, tell him what I've been doing, tell him my theory about like cycle dieting and manipulating calories while still losing body fat, but having a day where if you just looked at the calories, you should put on a lot of fat. And he looks at it and says, I've never seen stuff like this before. Doesn't make sense. Not possible. Just kind of shut me down. So he believed in 1 + 1 = 2 when it comes to nutrition. Now, my other professor at University of Delaware, Dr. Jose Antonio, is the man. He founded the International Society of Sports Nutrition. I actually interviewed him a long time ago after college. I actually just found the notes because I did it on a drive from, where was I? I was coming back from Ohio from a seminar, and I did it in the car. So I had my notes written down next to me. So I would bring him ideas, and he would expose me to different ways of thinking. I said, I never heard of that before. That's not what I would expect to hear from a guy of his stature, but he was thinking outside the box. So I had these 2 professors that kind of molded my thinking. I said, I don't want to go the way of the traditionalists. I want to figure out what the truth is. So I want to go the route that Dr. Antonio was kind of leading me down. Then in 2007, I hired, or I should say 2008 I hired, but 2007 I came across Scott Abel, probably the most influential coach I've had. He really exposed he aligned with what I thought about body, mind, and spirit, but he was a genius when it came to metabolism and training. Really thought outside the box. But a lot of the stuff I was reading, these articles I was reading when I was on break at lunch, when I was still a teacher, I'd say, man, he's got the research to back up what I've been thinking and what I've been doing, what I've been talking about. So naturally, I hired him. So with that said, I've always kind of been on the outer edge of what's true in fitness and nutrition. and what is a bunch of BS? What comes purely from marketing? So the first thing we're going to go over today is core training. Coach Mike did a great job with this on Friday night. So the myth with core training is that we can do spot reduction, meaning we can do sit-ups and crunches and lose fat in that area, which does not exist. Your body is going to go path of least resistance, like anything, right? So it's going to draw fat from the easiest spots to draw fat from. Now, usually with the body, that comes from the face, chin, and the cheek. That's why you're going to see it in a person's face first when they lose weight or gain weight, and then the limbs, and it kind of comes into the middle. And there's stubborn fat patterns. For men, typically it's the stomach and love handles, low back area, meaning it's a different type of fat cell receptor. Very, very tricky to get blood in to get the fat out, transport it out. For ladies, it's still in the inner area. It might be the belly, but it's usually glutes and thighs. So anyhow, you cannot do spot reduction. You can't train an area and get it leaner. That's the first myth. Second myth is that crunches and sit-ups are good for you. That's how you should train the core. Now, if you look at all the research, and Mike cited 3 different studies from Dr. Stuart McGill's book, Low Back Disorders. Every time they put spines through repeated flexion is this motion. Okay, it's bringing shoulders to knees. Discs would herniate. And herniated discs are very common, but if you want to blow out a back, do sit-ups and crunches. The thing with that is you're not supposed to feel, okay, am I training my core? I'll feel the burn. That's not how you train. And I'm going to go over that in a little bit as far as what you should be feeling when you train. But proper core training should happen automatically. The core should fire from the spine outwards. The core is for force transfer and power production. It needs stabilization. So we like to put the core in situations where it happens, boom, automatically. No thought required. Now think of force transfer and power production. When hockey players get in a fight, what's the first thing they do? Hey, yeah, they take off their gloves. Okay, after that, they grab each other's jersey. Why do they do that? Because they need to stabilize the spine to have any force behind their punches. If you don't have stabilization of the spine, you can't output much force at all. So that's the first thing, right? So we want to stabilize the spine and to be able to transfer force through the ground and out and for power production. So the core is designed for anti-movement. It's a braking system pretty much, and it's there to stabilize your spine. So anti-rotation like Russian twist, anti-extension like your ab wheel, stability ball rollout, planks just for pure stabilization. So that's how you would train the core. Now, if I'm doing a stabilization exercise such as like a suitcase carry, I pick up one heavy weight and I walk. I'm unevenly loaded. But my spine, boom, I'm going to feel everything tighten up. I don't have to think about it because my spine wants to stay stable. The spine, when you break, quote unquote, the spine, the posture of it, you become weaker. Spine stabilization is tied into force production, which is tied into survival. So all this stuff ties back into the brain, as we see. So those are the myths with core training. Sit-ups and crunches are garbage, and you can't do spot reduction. What's up, Unlocking Your Inner Strength listeners? How would you like to know about the 3 types of days that you can use to maintain a healthy balance while still striving to be the best in the world at what you do? Well, I have good news for you. I've put together a special report showing you exactly how to do this. It's normally $45, but since you're a loyal listener to the show, you can get it for only $10 at unlockingyourinnerstrength.com/time. Now, next myth, eating before bed. Coach Dana did an excellent job with this on Friday night. People have this thing in their head that if they eat before bed, they're going to get fat, which simply does not happen. Your metabolism does not just shut down, okay, when you go to sleep. Metabolism's always running. And I get it that, I'm going to be not moving, so I'm going to be slower. Now, there's something called basal metabolic rate, which makes up the bulk of your metabolism. Basal metabolic rate is the, quote unquote, like the engine that's always running to keep your body going. So if you were to lay in a bed or in a hospital bed, just to maintain function of normal bodily processes, the calories you would burn. And it's a very simple way to get a ballpark of your basal metabolic rate is take your body weight times 10, which mine is almost spot on. I think when I did my last measurement, I was about 239. My BMR is like 2,400 plus. And that's the calories you need just to sustain yourself. Now you also have non-exercise activity. You have thermogenesis of food. You have exercise. These things make up your metabolism. But the biggest percentage comes from basal metabolic rate when you're laying around. So your metabolism does not just shut off. In fact, we want to be in the parasympathetic state when we digest and when we sleep. So it goes hand in hand. And I've always, again, I connected this when I was competing in bodybuilding. I would have my biggest meal, my meal with carbs at the time before bed, and I would sleep much better. Otherwise, my sleep was all over the place because your body gets so wired when you're trying to get to that level of leanness. Things just go haywire. So you want to be in your parasympathetic state to sleep and digest. So it goes hand in hand for digestion and for sleep. When you eat a nice meal, serotonin is reduced, which leads to tryptophan production. Okay, get into the brain, helps you relax, helps you sleep. So it goes hand in hand. And you can't think so microscopically when it comes to your nutrition. You don't want to think of just what's happening meal to meal. It's the whole picture. What are you doing over the course of a week, course of a month? How are you manipulating your hormones or letting your hormones do the thing they're supposed to do? Are you sleeping? Are you resting? And new research, and I'll probably do this in 2 or 3 podcasts from University UCLA, shows definitively that diets do not work. In fact, you always wind up fatter after you diet. And by diet, I mean going into a severe calorie restriction. So the myth that you can't eat before bed or you're going to get fat is just that. It's a myth. Space your meals evenly. Try to eat before bed. It's going to help you relax. Maybe not right before, but within 2 hours, you're fine. I do that every single night. And I might add, this is the leanest I've ever been, bodybuilding aside. So last one I'm going to cover for today is judging a workout by the soreness. This is a big myth that if you weren't sore after a workout, you didn't have a good workout. You didn't do any work. Complete hogwash. Devin got a kick out of it that I called it hogwash the other night. She said, you planned that? I said, I didn't plan. What do you mean? Whatever. But it just came to my head. So judging a workout by soreness. So if you look at your hands, right, if you're into lifting or if you're watching on Facebook here, you can see the calluses on my hand. I even got some of my fingers. Now, these are from years of lifting, but they don't take years to form. The reason I'm showing you calluses is if you went out and you started digging a hole with a wooden handle shovel, never done it before, your hands are going to be really tender that night. You go out again, do it again, going to be tender. But over the course of a week or so, 2 weeks, you're going to form calluses. That's a stress response. So Hans Selye developed the general adaptation syndrome. You can Google this and look up an image. But basically, you have homeostasis. Your body wants to remain the same. Then you have the alarm phase. Remember A-R-E. You have the alarm phase. So if you lift, right, that's the alarm phase. Triggers go off. Something's going on here, right? The resistance stage is where you adapt. That's where you adapt. That's where your body comes back bigger, stronger, or loses fat to face these demands. They're all just stress responses, response to adaptations. Then if you get to the third stage, the E, the exhaustion phase, you overdid it. No good. I rarely get sore after a workout anymore unless I really switch things up. So I never judge it by how sore I am because I know it doesn't mean anything. And you got to remember, you're trying to form habit around exercise. If you're incredibly sore after every workout and you feel like you got hit by a Mack truck, you're not going to form habit around that. The brain will not form habit around things it does not find pleasurable. So maybe once in a while, if you feel sore, okay. But if you can't get up off the toilet, can't go up and down the stairs every time you work out, no good. So this is where the one-size-fits-all programming that you see at some of these big box gyms or some of the CrossFits out there or Orange Theories, no good. No good. You have to be able to maneuver for different clients and different bodies and different nervous systems. Another myth with this is that the pain or the burn you feel after a workout, delayed onset muscle soreness, is from lactic acid. Not true. Lactic acid will rise up, and that's the burn you'll feel during a workout. Clears the system very quickly. So lactic acid doesn't just sit around in the muscle for days after. It clears the system very quickly. What you're feeling is micro tears and trauma to the muscle. So you actually, when you work out, you're not building any muscle. You're breaking it down. It's in the recovery phase. in the resistance phase, which is where recovery takes place, that you're building up bigger, stronger, or where you're losing body fat. Okay? Remember, everything the body does is for survival. Every single thing it does, every adaptation it does, every thought that springs from the animal parts of the brain is for survival. We want to increase protein turnover. This is the last thing I'm going to talk about, which is how anabolic steroids work. Protein synthesis. Let's build up bigger and stronger. That's the goal when you're trying to put on muscle, not how sore you can get. Can we provide just enough stress, so dose and duration? The minimum effective dose is provide the least in anything in life that you need to get a response that you want. Don't go overboard. You're going to need it more later. You're going to need it. Your work capacity is going to go up, whatever it is. So those are the 3 myths I'm going to start with for episode number 87. Next episode, I'm going to go over small, frequent meals, the myth of that, and how cardio for fat loss is the biggest lie ever told. So I may get to that episode this week. If not, I'll be back next Monday for that. If you know somebody that would benefit from this podcast, please share it with them. And please leave a review on iTunes if you haven't already done so. And that's it for episode number 87 of Unlocking Your Inner Strength. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.
You've been listening to The Inner Strength Show. If you enjoyed the show, remember to subscribe, rate, and review us in iTunes.